Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be going through the solution to exercise 2.2 from the C programming language textbook by Kernighan and Dennis Ritchie. Now exercise 2.2 says to write a loop equivalent to the for loop above without using the and or operators. And those are the logical and or. And this is the loop that we are asked to convert. And notice that the first thing that gets done in this loop is this initialization of an integer I. So in our main program, I'm going to declare and initialize an integer I. So that part's done. But next we have all these checks. We check this condition, then we check this, so on and so forth. And only once all those checks return true do we do this operation inside the loop. So we need to find a way to do these checks. Now we could just use a bunch of if statements, and while those if statements are true, we'll do the operation inside the for loop. Now up until now we've covered both hash defines, defining constants, and we've just covered enums. So I'm going to use an enum, but you could very easily use a hash define. I'm going to call my enum boolean, and it's going to have values no and yes, hence the word boolean. And then I'm going to define a boolean type enum to check the condition. If, I'm going to have yes and no. If it's yes, do this. If it's no, don't do it. So I'm going to call my boolean enum called check. And I'm going to initialize it to yes. So at the beginning, it is yes. Now, while I'm yes, while the check is yes, so I could just do this, because check will be yes, and then yes evaluates to 1. 1 is true, but just to be sure and make it clear we'll do that. Then what we need to do is take the negation of all the conditions inside. So if I is less than the limit minus 1, well, the negation of that is if I is larger than or equal to the limit minus 1. So that means it must have been false, and then we do our check as no. Otherwise, we take the next negation. So our next condition is if C equals getChar does not equal the / n character or the new line character. Well, how about we do it the other way around? The negation, that is. So if getChar got a new line character, then once again, check should be no. Oh, and this should be an else if. Sorry about that. Else if, let's check the next condition. If C equals EOF, then check equals no. And then if all of those, so if we check this and it returned false, check this, false, check this, false, then all of the conditions must have been false, all the negations of the conditions must have been false, and so we can just do what we normally do inside the while loop, or inside the for loop, and that is we can set the that integer to be I or to be C, and we can also then increment the counter. Now this loop is actually taken from the getLine function. I believe that was exercise 1.16, and so we do need to declare an array and whatnot, but this is the main program. This is what the main question asks us, so I'm not really going to test it, but you can trust that it's correct. So just to go over it, we have this check variable. It's an enum. So while it's true or while it's yes, I'm going to check the negations of my conditions in the for loop. If the negation is true, then I must be false. I do that here, I do that here, and if none of the negations are true, then they must all be false, and so the original checks must all be true, and so we can do the body of the loop. That might be a bit confusing. Let me just explain it one more time. So this is one of the conditions. If the negation is false, that is to say that I is not greater than or equal to this, then this must be true. Once again, here we check the negation. If getChar equals a new line character, well, if that is false, then getChar must not equal a new line character. And once more here we have C equals the end of file. If that is false, then C must not equal the end of file. And so if all of these checks are false, then all of these original conditions we had here must all be true. And then we can do the main body of the loop. Now also notice that we have an else statement, not an else if, because all we need to check are these three conditions. Otherwise, if they're all false, then just do the body of the loop. Now that will be all for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.